The winning blueprint presents.
In the lab room.
Next up on the slate is a game that I struggled with just a bit. And I may be putting too much into this. I'm probably really looking into this a little bit more than I need to. But I really want to be special this week. And in order to be special, you got to think outside the box sometimes. And so this next game sees the Detroit Lions traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. And you hear that game and you're thinking, what is there to think about? You take the Lions and you keep moving. I don't know. I really don't know if this is the game that the Titans don't decide to finally win. This isn't the game that they finally decide to get Chris Johnson on track. Probably not. But it could happen, and I'm thinking, what better team to do it against than the Detroit Lions? I feel like the Titans are due for one of those eerie games where they just lull you to sleep. They just hang in. You can't seem to get out of the mud. You're stuck in the mud. You're stuck in neutral. And you look up with 4 minutes and 37 seconds left in the fourth quarter. It's 20-17. You're winning, but the Titans have the football with a chance to go down and get a game-winning score or tie the game up. And you're like, how did I find myself in a dogfight with the Titans? They're due for one of those games. These first two games, they've gotten shellacked, essentially. And they're due for one of those Tennessee Titan sleepers where you fall asleep, wake up, and you're only up 3 with 4 minutes left. Titans got the ball and a chance to win. They're due for one of those. And the Lions are the perfect team to do it to. Because the Lions are one of these teams where they can score 38 or they can score 16. You just don't know which Lions team is going to show up. And granted, they played the 49ers last week. Everybody gets shut down when they play the 49ers. So you don't feel bad if you're the Lions. Hey, we played the San Francisco 49ers and scored 19 points. That's an accomplishment right now, as it seems. But the Lions are a team that can do that. They can go and score 16 points. They almost lost to the Rams in week 1. So we don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to try to go out on a limb here and pick the Titans. If I was in a better state, I might go on a limb right here. Because these are the type of games that make or break you. Ones where everybody's leaning on one side and you go opposite and you go get one. But this could also backfire and be one of those ones where everybody's picking one for obvious reasons. You try to be special and go outside the box. You lose. Everybody else wins, and everybody looks at you like an idiot. I'm going to avoid doing that this week because I'm not in a position to try to be special. I need to make the solid pick right now, and the solid pick is the Detroit Lions on the road against the Tennessee Titans. Chris Johnson is not running the football right now. I still haven't received an answer as to why Chris Johnson is struggling. I need to know. I want to know because you don't just go from elite back in the league to less than average back in the league. It doesn't happen without some kind of injury or something to that effect. And to my knowledge, Chris Johnson has not suffered a season-ending 5-6 month injury where he has to recuperate, and we're wondering, will he ever be the same Chris Johnson? Last time I checked, he had a holdout, and he hasn't been the same back since. So, I need answers. No Chris Johnson equals no win for this Tennessee Titans football team. Jake Locker is not ready to carry this football team. I said that before the season started, and I meant that. I wasn't joking. I wasn't being sarcastic. Jake Locker was handed the keys to the Tennessee Titans vehicle. And I said throughout this course of the season, he's going to crash this vehicle several times. Does that mean you take the keys from him? No. You get the car fixed, put him back on the road, and tell him try again. You put him in, let him stay in. However, you're going to lose a lot of games if Chris Johnson is not in that passenger side of that vehicle helping him navigate the vehicle. If he's up front by himself with no one else helping him, guess what? He's going to crash that vehicle over and over and over and over again. And Titan fans, coaches, and players alike are all going to be very frustrated with the same results happening week in and week out. But you gave him the keys. Now you have to let him keep the keys. Let him learn. But Chris Johnson should be in that passenger seat helping him navigate this car. I'm telling you right now, if you want to win games, you need to find a way to get Chris Johnson on track. If you're not going to do that, you're not going to win a lot of games this year. And for that reason, I must stick with the Detroit Lions in this game over the Tennessee Titans. 27-19. Taking the Lions to a 2-1 mark, taking the Titans down to 0-3 on the season. So our next matchup, as we continue down the slate of games, finds us in San Diego, where the Chargers will be waiting on the Atlanta Falcons. This is a matchup of two 2-0 teams. Someone's O has to go. And so I look for the San Diego Chargers to continue to build on what they've started on in this season. I said before the Week 1 matchup against the Raiders on Monday night that they had to get off to a fast start this year. They couldn't have one of those early season meltdowns where they start the season 2-5 and then think they're going to turn it up and win the last 7 out of 9 and try to go in 9-7 and sneak in the back door of the playoffs with a wild card. You can't do that this year. That's going to get Norv Turner fired. And Phillip Rivers essentially begged the staff and brass of the San Diego Chargers for Norv Turner to keep his job. And so if you're going to beg, then you need to come out and perform. And that's what they've done thus far. Starting out 2-0, looking impressive doing so. And now they have their first real test of the season. These aren't the Raiders. These aren't the Titans you're playing. You're playing the Atlanta Falcons. Good thing for the Chargers, though, they're at home. Now, no one's showing up to the game, so they don't get an advantage there. But just the fact that the Falcons aren't at home in the Georgia Dome helps the Chargers. You look at the Falcons, and they're offensive driven. This team is going to go as far as Matt Ryan, those two stud receivers, Turner, and that offensive line takes them, as well as Tony Gonzalez. Don't forget about the old wily veteran tight end. That offense is going to take this Falcons team as far as they're going to go this year. And they know that. Matt Ryan knows it. He knows that the regular season is nice, but I'm looking past the regular season into the playoffs. But he knows he has to get it done in the regular season first before he can start thinking of ideas of grandeur of the postseason. This Falcons team looks poised to make a run this season. And I like what they're doing on defense as well. We know this offense is a fringe explosive team. When they get it revved up and lathered up against a subpar defense, they'll put 37 points up. No problem. Because these receivers are elite. That tight end is Hall of Fame. And so they can do it when they get up against a defense that's not ready and up for the challenge. But this San Diego Chargers defense has looked the part early on in this season. Granted, they face the Oakland Raiders offense. Don't even need to say how bad they've been. And the Tennessee Titans offense, who can't run the football. And so they've been able to make teams one-dimensional. They did it to the Raiders. They did it to the Titans. Made them have to throw the football. And then went after them successfully in both games. And so that's what they're going to look to do against the Atlanta Falcons. Stop Turner, the burner, in the backfield. Slow him down. Force Matt Ryan to have to put the ball in the air and see if they can send Sean Phillips and company, Ingram, and Corey Legion and the rest of the crew after him in the passing game, force pressure on Matt Ryan, make him make mistakes. We're going to see, this is going to be an interesting matchup between two 2-0 teams to see who's for real. A loss here to either team isn't going to make or break their season, isn't going to send them spiraling downward. But it's interesting to see which team right now can get it done against another team that's playing good football. The Chargers, surprisingly right now, they're 2-0. And look, they haven't played any real competition. So their 2-0 start isn't a real surprise. But it doesn't matter. In this division, everybody's been talking about Denver. And San Diego has come out, and they're leading the division right now. Let's see if they can take this game at home against a quality opponent in the Atlanta Falcons and get it done. I think they can. In fact, I think they will, as I have them beating the Atlanta Falcons 30-24 at home to run their record to 3-0 and drop the Falcons to 2-1 on this season. This is going to be a great matchup. I really want to see whose offense is going to outplay the others and whose defense is going to step up and make timely plays to have the difference be made in this football game. We're going to see. I'm counting on the San Diego Chargers being at home, being able to make the plays necessary to get it done. Probably one of the most intriguing matchups of the weekend, full of intriguing matchups, is this one that sees the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Arizona Cardinals out in the desert. And this is going to be fun because Arizona for me is one of these places that you can go out to Arizona and get lost. And what I mean by that is you can go out to Arizona, be playing excellent football up until that point, go to Arizona, and then you get out there on the field and it's a different game out there, it seems like. You get slowed down, you get bogged down, you make mistakes you don't normally make, and you're fighting for your life to come out of there with a W. It doesn't matter how good of football you've been playing. You go to Arizona and you're going to fight for a W if you come out of there with one. And this is another case in point. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a team right now that's been skating on thin ice every single week. They've been playing with fire and they have yet to be burned. This is the week, though, that if they decide to turn it over 3, 4, 5 times, they're not coming out of here with a victory. If Vic decides he wants to throw 3 picks, one of them in the end zone, in the red zone, and wants to fumble, and they want to have, blunders on the offensive side of the football, they're already minus one of their big play receivers in Jeremy Maclin, who can't play this week, who's banged up. You can't afford to go out and make mistakes. And if they want to do that this week, if they want to go and turn it over, they're not at home. They're not playing the Cleveland Browns this week. They don't have those things to fall back on. You're playing the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. This is a matchup of two 2-0 teams, so both of them have found ways to win games this year. Hasn't always been the prettiest for either one of these teams, but nonetheless, they've been victories. You take them any way you can get them. And if the Eagles turn the football over against this Cardinals team, who's been opportunistic to start this season out, they're not going to win. They're not going to leave Arizona 3-0. Looking at the Cardinals, this is supposed to be Kevin Kolb playing against his old team. He's supposed to be trying to go out there and show them what they're missing, what they gave up. Eagles aren't buying that, though. They want to go in, put pressure on Kevin Kolb, make him make mistakes, limit the amount of times he can get the ball to Larry Fitzgerald. I thought it was a farce last week that Larry Fitzgerald only had 1 catch for 4 yards. When does that happen? That's never supposed to happen. I blame that on Kevin Kolb. I watched that game, and I looked, and if there were 40 snaps on offense for the Cardinals, if there were 50 snaps, it doesn't matter. 10% of the time, Kevin Kolb even looked in the direction of Larry Fitzgerald. That is, without a doubt, the most absurd thing you can do if you're a Cardinals quarterback. If I'm a Cardinals quarterback and I'm fighting to keep my job, the one thing I'm going to do is throw the football to Larry Fitzgerald. I don't care if he's double covered. If he's single coverage, oh, I'm definitely looking at Larry and telling him to just run a 9 route. Just run a 9 route. I'm throwing it up to you. Make a play for me. I don't understand how Kevin Kolb isn't understanding that logic. Would you rather throw to Andre Roberts in single coverage or Larry Fitzgerald in double coverage? I'll tell you where I'm going with the football. I'm going to Larry Fitzgerald in double coverage over Andre Roberts in single coverage. That's how much confidence I have in Larry Fitzgerald. How about you just try throwing the football to Larry Fitzgerald a lot more? I'm telling you, good things will happen. Can't be any worse. Anyway, if this offense for the Cardinals continues to just not turn the football over, as they did a week ago against the New England Patriots, as they did 2 weeks ago against Seattle, just be steady on the offensive end. Continue to play excellent special teams. They've been great on special teams. We already know Patrick Peterson is looming back there to return punts. So that you're already at a disadvantage if you're the opposing team playing against the Cardinals because Patrick Peterson is so electrifying back returning punts. But they block punts as well. This Arizona Cardinals team will block a punt. If you're not careful, there's been a lot of blocked punts in this 2012 season. This is a young season yet. I think I've seen more block punts in this first 2 weeks than I might have seen all of it last year. It's a lot of block punts going on right now. A lot of special teams breakdowns. I don't know what the reason is, but the Cardinals are one of these teams that will block a punt if you're not careful. And so this Eagles team has to come correct. And not only on the offensive side, not only on the defensive side, but in the special teams game as well. This Cardinals team will sell out to block a punt. And if they get a punt block, they're going to turn it into points. And so this is going to be a very, very intriguing game. I think it's going to come down to the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. And right now, that's not the Philadelphia Eagles. They are not making the least amount of mistakes when playing football. In fact, they're making the most amount of mistakes. And somehow, some way, they are finding ways to win football games. Well, that won't get it done this week in Arizona. I don't think they can afford to turn the football over numerous times and think they're going to leave Arizona with a victory. And for that reason, and that reason alone, I have the Arizona Cardinals at home, elevating their record to 3-0, dropping the Philadelphia Eagles to 2-1 with a 23-22 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a big one. A lot of people are going to have the Eagles on that one. I'm looking to steal one there, gain ground on guys that have gotten ahead of me because of some of the picks I've made in the first 2 weeks. That's a big one for me. I'm counting on Kevin Kolb to not implode. I'm counting on this Philadelphia Eagles offense to turn the football over. I'm counting on this Arizona Cardinals defense to continue to play sound football. And if you're the Cardinals, get the ball to Patrick Peterson some more as well. I saw you put him out in the Wildcat last week. I begged for him to get more touches. You obliged. Get him the football. This guy is so dynamic when he has a football in his hands. It's scary. And so if you can find ways to get him, he's a specimen with the football in his hands. He's special. Cardinals 23, Eagles 22. Big win for the Cardinals, taking them to 3-0. And who would have thought they would be 3-0 if they get this win this early in the season? I don't know. I didn't see them having 3 wins right now. Who thought they were going to New England to get a W last week? If they can win this game, they're going to compete in that NFC West. And before the season started, that was a runaway for the San Francisco 49ers. So we'll see. That's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. Next up, in our travels through the slate of games, we find ourselves in Oakland as the Raiders will host the Pittsburgh Steelers in a matchup that pits 2 powerhouse teams from the 70s. Problem for the Raiders is that the 70s are gone, long gone, and they haven't moved on from the 70s. they're no longer a relevant team on the NFL landscape. And just when you thought the Raiders were starting to emerge as a team that was getting on the right path, going in the right direction, they blow up everything they had going on with Hugh Jackson and company. And maybe it needed to be done. Hugh Jackson was probably getting a little power crazed out there and starting to try to make too many decisions, and he wanted too much control over what was going on, and they had to make a move. But in doing so, this Raiders franchise has to take a giant step backwards. Normally you take one step back to go 2 steps forward. This step is so far back, though, potentially, that the Raiders are taking, that the 2 steps that they take forward are just going to get them in the same spot that they were in before they took the 1 step back. So I'm not sure that everything that they're doing is going to be not in vain, so to speak. This Raiders team is bad. And not just bad because they're not executing. I don't think they have any talent. And they went from one of the fastest. I mean, you could say what you want about Al Davis. He was old and he was senile and stuck in his ways. You say whatever you want about Al Davis. But the man acquired height, weight, speed specimens. You knew when you looked at a player that he was a Raider. Now, was that always the best thing? No. But what that did was it put a collection of guys on the field that were talented. Now, were you ever going to get the most out of these guys? Maybe, maybe not. You never knew. But you were going to have guys that were extremely fast, extremely athletic, and guys that could make a difference if you were able to ever tap into their full potential. This group of Raiders on the field right now, it's a smorgasbord of just a mixed bag of stuff. You got old corners out there, old defensive linemen, young linebackers, young safeties, old kicker, old punter. You just got a mixed bag of just stuff. Young receivers that can't stay healthy. Mediocre tight ends. Mixed bag at offensive line. And then you got Carson Palmer at quarterback. Hard to really say what you are, what you're trying to accomplish as a coach. Normally when you come in as a new head coach into a situation as Mr. Allen did, Dennis Allen, I'm speaking of, Raiders head coach, and you come into a team and you take over that has been bad for the last decade, and you're just looking to come in and blow this thing up and start over. Normally you start over and you have a direction you're going in. Normally that direction is not old, it's dirt. Normally it's young. Let's just be, if we're going to be terrible, let's be terrible young. Well, this Raiders team went out and when you don't have money, I guess that's what you do. They were hit pretty hard in the salary cap. They don't have a lot of money. They're strapped for cash, and so they had to go to the bargain bin in free agency and get some stuff to help them fill out their roster. But they got old corners. They got Ron Bartell and Shante Spencer, 2 30-something corners that were average at best in their former life as Rams and San Francisco 49er defenders. You look at Tommy Kelly, he's starting to get up there in age at defensive tackle, one of your better players. Richard Seymour is fighting off Father Time at defensive tackle, the other defensive tackle spot. You look out at receiver, you got a bunch of young guys, and that's what you want, youth. But Denarius Moore can't stay healthy. Jacoby Ford is never healthy. So then you start looking at Darius Hayward Bay, bless his heart. You look at Rod Streeter and Jerron Kreiner and all the other guys they have a receiver. Unproven guys who are young, just trying to make a name for themselves. The tight end group, Osbury, and Myers, and it's just, gosh. You thought McFadden was going to have a huge season. He hasn't even come close to sniffing 100 yards in this season, and so no Bush this year. Tywan Jones is your backup. He's done nothing. Mike Goodson seems to be a somewhat of a bright spot, I guess. But, gosh. I said all that to say that the Steelers just need to show up, play Steelers football, and you got yourself a win. Steelers 27, Raiders 13. I don't even need to talk about the Steelers because we know what the Steelers are. Mike Tomlin's going to have his group ready to go. No Palomalu, no Harrison. Doesn't matter. Steelers 27, Raiders 13. Just show up, play solid football. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. You get yourself a W. That'll take the Steelers to 2-1. Raiders 0-3. Good luck getting the. I don't know how many you're gonna get this year in terms of victories, but it's gonna be a while before you get one. I think in Oakland. Whew. That's gonna be tough because you guys are funky. Sucks to be you guys right now. But moving right along, another marquee matchup of the weekend pits the Houston Texans on the road against the Denver Broncos. And this is going to be a very captivating matchup because Peyton Manning had a rough outing, to say the least, against the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football in Week 2. And so that was his first game on the road. Did not have the best showing in the world. They played well at home in Week 1. This Houston Texans team is a team that's looking to cement themselves as one of the better teams in the AFC. They've come out and they lead the league in defense right now. They're the best defense in all of football right now. There's a reason for that. They're good on defense, don't get me wrong. But they played the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins in consecutive weeks. So that has a lot to do with why they're so good on defense right now. But this is a team that was ranked 3rd in pass defense a year ago, and so they can play defense. Wade Phillips has this defense playing good football. And so it's going to be a big test for this defense and being able to corral Peyton Manning, force him into mistakes as the Atlanta Falcons did, and get turnovers and get the ball to this offense who we know can light up the scoreboard for the Houston Texans. Their job, that of the Texans, is going to be to limit this Broncos offense to next to nothing and go out and perform on the road in a hostile environment against a Denver Broncos team that looks like they're going to be very hard to beat at home. And so I've got my reservations about this Texans team early on in the season. I'm still looking for that dominant performance. They've won both of their games going away. You look at the scoreboard and you say they won by 20 against the Dolphins, 30-10. They won by 20 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 27-7. What more you want them to do? I want them to look like the dominant team that they are. I thought they looked good against Jacksonville last week, but it was a lot of the short passing game. The running backs did a lot of the heavy lifting. Both of those running backs, they have probably the best tandem of running backs in all of football between Ben Tate and Arian Foster. They did a lot of the heavy lifting against Jacksonville. They caught the ball out of the backfield. They ran the ball equally as effective. And they were the catalyst that put the Jacksonville Jaguars away. And you look at the first week against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins just self-imploded right before halftime, giving up 3 touchdowns in a matter of 1 minute and 53 seconds, taking the game from a 3-3 tie ball game to 24-3 at halftime in a matter of 1 minute and 53 seconds. And so the Texans haven't been dominant like I want to see them be. I want to see the Texans start out a game, get out to an early lead, and coast and just dominate a football team. dominate a game. Haven't seen that from them. Don't expect to see it this week either. But just getting a win on the road against the Denver Broncos would be an achievement in itself. Tough place to play against a football team that is finding their way but is rounding into being a good football team. Most teams on the road, with the amount of mistakes that they made against the Falcons, would have buckled and gotten blown out on national TV. These Broncos did not do that. They held it together, overcame the mistakes, and gave themselves a chance to win that ball game against the Atlanta Falcons. So, two teams going head-to-head in an early season matchup that have high expectations for themselves and huge prospects for their season, looking to do battle to find out just who is better. I think this is a classic matchup of two teams who maybe aren't evenly matched. I think the Texans right now are a better football team overall, but because the Broncos are home, I think that evens it up a little bit and even gives them a slight edge. And that's why I have to go with the Broncos in this one, because I feel like the Broncos just being home, having the crowd behind them, gives them a slight edge over this Houston Texans team, who I think is playing really good football, but they haven't shown me that they're a dominant football team yet this year. If they were dominant in those first two games, I'm talking about really taking it to the Dolphins and the Jaguars in those first two games, I might lean towards the Texans. But I think they've been good, not great in the first two games. And so I think the Broncos are a good football team. They're not great either, but they're home, so that gives them a slight edge to be able to beat the Houston Texans 23-20, to take both of these teams to 2-1 on the season. And this game may loom large toward the end of the season when teams start jockeying for playoff position. This game could be one of those early season matchups that you look back on that can decide whether a team is the 3 seed or the 4 seed, and that makes a huge difference in the playoffs, because that 3 seed gets that 6 seed, and if that 6 seed barely snuck in, you might find yourself playing a team that you can breeze by, whereas that 5 seed might be a solid team that just didn't win a division and had to be that extra wild card team. And so it is a big drop off from the 5 and the 6 seed a lot of times. Also there's times where that 6 seed gets in and they're the team no one wants to face, and they run through the division, the playoff, and get to the Super Bowl, but it doesn't happen that often. Look for this game to mean something toward the end of the season, and so the winner of this game will have this in their back pocket come playoff time. And I think that's going to be the Denver Broncos, 23-20 over the Houston Texans. Our Sunday night matchup finds us in Baltimore as the Ravens will be waiting on the New England Patriots, one of those early season big boy matchups that the NFL likes to put together for us. And when they put it together, they were expecting 2 undefeated teams. But they got 2 1-1 ball clubs. The Patriots found a way to lose at home in Foxborough for the first time since the opening of Gillette Stadium in their home opener. They dropped that to the Arizona Cardinals. Meanwhile, the Baltimore Ravens dropped their Week 2 game as well on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles in a game that they probably thought they should have won. Replacement officials played a large part in them losing that ball game, but the Ravens still had every opportunity to win that football game and did not take care of business. And so each of these teams come into this game finding themselves 1-1. Now the Patriots are not the Patriots that we've come to know and hate. The Patriots that can rack up 34 points in the blink of an eye. The Patriots that are extremely efficient on the offensive side of the football, getting the ball to Wes Welker, getting the ball to the Diamond Duo, getting the ball in Tom Brady's hands and allowing him to be surgical with the football. Not the Patriots that we've seen in the first 2 weeks of the season. We've seen a Patriots football team who's relied on the defense. Yes, that's what I just said, rely on their defense to keep teams from scoring a lot of points while allowing this Patriots offense to find their way and find a way to score enough points to win the football game. In week 1, the defense was the catalyst in the blowout victory over the Tennessee Titans. But the offense was not overly impressive against the Titans. The defense was. The defense forced turnovers, got short fields, if not putting points on the scoreboard themselves, for that Patriots offense who deposited those points onto the scoreboard after the defense did the heavy lifting. In week 2, the defense did everything that they could to allow the Patriots offense to find a way to get on track and win the football game. But ultimately, the referees may not have made a bad call on Gronk. That's debatable. Nonetheless, the Patriots missed the late game field goal, which I thought they could have gotten a lot closer for Stephen Gostkowski. Instead, they decided that 42-yard field goal was going to be more than enough, more than close enough for Gostkowski to knock it through. He missed. They lost. And so this Patriots team comes in at 1-1, looking to get their offensive stride. They're trying to find that offensive stride. They haven't found it yet. They haven't clicked. Brandon Lloyd is trying to assimilate into this offense. He really hasn't got it jump-started yet. They haven't really found a way to get Wes Welker the football. And I'm thinking, is this one of these Patriot pull the wool over the eye jobs where, you know, Wes Welker is going to be a free agent in the offseason? They're trying to pull his value way, way down to where they feel like he's a asset that they can keep because his value, his price range would have came way down from the guy who caught 123 balls a season ago. I think the Patriots are really trying to make him a guy that will take a bargain basement price to come back and play for them next season. They need to throw the ball to Wes Welker. They need to stop the games. Stop talking about, oh, we are not doing anything to not throw the ball. Yes, you are. Wes Welker is a guy that catches 7-8 passes routinely every game, and he goes from that to next to nothing in the first 2 games. You're not fooling anybody. Throw the ball to Wes Welker. Get this offense going as it has in the past. Allow this defense to continue to play good football, but not good football to keep you in games, but play good football to cement wins because this offense is scoring 31, 34 points. And all they have to do is not allow teams to get anywhere close and cement the win. Looking at the Ravens, this is a football team that they've got everything in place to be in the Super Bowl this year. Their problem is, and it's annually their problem, is they have to stop shooting themselves in the foot. The reason why the Ravens are 1-1 on this season is because they shot themselves in the foot against the Philadelphia Eagles. They had opportunities to win that football game. They squandered them. And this is what the Ravens have to stop doing. They have to stop shooting themselves in the foot. If the Ravens come out, play Baltimore Ravens football, which means play solid defense, get after the opposing quarterback, force turnovers, Ed Reed and company back there getting turnovers, give the ball back to Joe Flacco, who then hands it to Ray Rice, and when he's not doing that, pull it out of Ray Rice's belly, play action faking, going up top, making big plays, scoring points. If the Ravens can do that consistently without shooting themselves in the foot, you'll find it hard to beat this Baltimore Ravens football team. They're a very, very good team. Well constructed, solid in all areas, special teams, offense, and defense. They have everything you look for in a team that's trying to contend for a Super Bowl championship. All they have to do is find a way to fit all of the pieces into the puzzle correctly, and they will be a team that can be in the Super Bowl. Standing in front of them will be the New England Patriots. And it's games like these that they have to win at home. They have to make a statement to these Patriots that you need to find a way to win 12 or 13 games this season, because if I get a home playoff game against you, I'm going to beat you. That's what this game says to me and should say to the Ravens. They know to go to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to get through either the Ravens or the Steelers, the Steelers or the New England Patriots. They know that. It's a known fact that if the Ravens are going anywhere, they got to cross one of those bridges to get where they're trying to go. And so the Ravens need to win this game. Just like I said in the last game between the Broncos and the Texans. This is one of those games that looms large at the end of the season. Because it's an early season matchup, you forget about it. But this is one of those games where it could come back to bite you in the tuchus if you don't win this football game, especially being at home if you're the Ravens. The Ravens need to go out, play sound defense. Brady and that offense has been struggling. Go out, play sound defense, force them into a game where they can't run the football because they've been relying on the running the football these first 2 weeks of the season. Force Brady to have to beat you. And I've never thought I would say that and actually mean it. But yes, force Brady to beat you. They're struggling to protect him. That offensive line is not protecting Brady right now. They're very skittish, and Brady is paying the price for it. And that's part of the reason for this struggle of the New England Patriots offense. Get after Brady. Take advantage of that offensive line. Force that offense to get off the field on third downs. Give your offense the ball. Allow them to do work. And so, all that aside, I have the Baltimore Ravens taking care of the New England Patriots at home in a nail-biter, 24-23. And that will do it for the Sunday slate of games. Of course, there's one Monday night game. We'll bring you that preview on Monday after we go over the slate of games from the weekend that was. And so that's a touchdown. Want to tack on this quick extra point. And for those of you not aware that the NFL is offering that game rewind package, I think that if you're a hardcore football fan, you want to see what's going on around the league. You want to see the coaches' footage of the all-22s. You want to see all the games that are going on around the league, maybe scouting a future opponent. Whatever the case may be, if you're a hardcore fan and you want to get that extra access to what's going on in a lot of these games around the league, and being able to, if you just want to see your team and see the all-22s of what's going on every given play, then that game rewind package that the NFL is offering, I think, is a steal. I have it. It is a tool that is golden. It's priceless. I can't tell you how much this thing is beneficial to have. I love it. It's a tool that I use exclusively to bring you a lot of what I talk about on this show. And if you want to do your own homework, if you want to watch the game from a different point of view, get the game rewind package. I think it is phenomenal. And at the rate that they're giving it out for, it's $70. That is a lot of money, but it's not in the grand scheme of things for what you're getting. You're getting the ability to watch full broadcast games. That means the full TV broadcast with the announcers and everything. They're also giving you the condensed form. So if you just want to get the game in 30 minutes in a 30-minute capsule, they have that for you. That's what I choose to go, because it's hard to sit there and watch 3-hour, 30-minute contests. With these replacement referees, some of these games turn into 4-hour marathons. You can't sit there and watch many games that way. And so, you know, that condensed form is awesome. Then you're getting the all-22s look at what goes on the field. So if your safety isn't in the position that he's supposed to be in when you're watching the game on TV and you can't see what happened to the safety, why was that receiver wide open, you look at the all-22s and you'll see exactly why that receiver got wide open. That safety, you know, made a misstep, took 2 steps in the wrong direction, and that receiver just ran by him and he wasn't close. And so the all-22s give you that visual and that perspective, and I think that this game rewind package is awesome. If you haven't checked it out, you need to do so. And they gave out a free preview. A lot of y'all didn't know about that, and I should have mentioned it on the show. They gave out a free preview for the first 2 weeks of the season. So you had a chance to test it out to see if this is something you wanted to invest in. You know, that free preview is now gone. And so if you're going to do it, you have to pay for it now. But I'm telling you right now, I've experienced it already. I have the package. It's worth buying. You can take my word for it. It is definitely worth the price of admission. And so that's going to do it for this episode of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. This is the Friday edition, so you won't see this face again until Monday. And enjoy the weekend. Enjoy college football if you're a college football fan, as I am. I'm going to be rooting for my Notre Dame Fighting Irish this week against Michigan, a team that has beaten us the last 2 years because of their menacing quarterback. Let's see if we can finally corral Mr. Shoelaces and get a W this season. Enjoy the weekend. College football, NFL action. Suck it up. Take it all in. Inhale it. Exhale it. Inhale some more. It's football. I'm telling you, enjoy these weekends in the fall, because before you know it, it's going to be Thanksgiving, it's going to be Christmas, and then it's going to be New Year's, and the football season will be all but over. And you're going to be asking yourself, what happened to my football season? It is over with. It is done. All I have left is the playoffs, and then there's no more football, and then you have to find ways to spend your Sunday afternoons. So enjoy it. Indulge in this football. I'm telling you, take advantage of it while it's here. I know I will. I'll be in front of my 2 TV screens, enjoying all of the festivities, and then I'll be back on Monday to talk about what I saw and going over what I was able to accomplish in the win-loss record for the Lab. The Lab is going to have a strong weekend. I feel good about this. I said that last week, though. But I feel good about my picks. So we'll see. We'll talk about it on Monday. Enjoy the festivities. Enjoy the games. Hope your team does well, except for the Cincinnati Bengals. If you are a Cincinnati Bengals fan, I cannot wish you well because you are playing against my Washington Redskins. But for everyone else's team, maybe with the exception of the Cowboys and the Eagles, have at it, man. Hope you have a heck of a weekend. Good luck to your teams. And I'll see you Monday, same time, same place. I'm out.